Okay, next up is Campbell Forsyth and his dog Sam. Campbell is from Ericsdale, Manitoba, and he and his dog Sam scored 250 points in the first 2 go-rounds, Jimmy, and he dropped 20 points in the first go and scored a full points of 135 in the second qualifying round.
I tell you, if I were Campbell, my day would have already been made, because Campbell's daughter's gone out and had a full point run, and to make, for a father that he couldn't be happier to have his daughter with him on this trip and go out and have a perfect score, winning the go-round. And even though he wants to do well with Sam, in some ways it probably wouldn't matter what happened here.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true, knowing Campbell and Kayleen, that anything that happens from now on is just icing in the cake. He's very proud of his daughter, as he should be, and I'm sure Kayleen would tell you as well that, and credit her father with teaching her the stockmanship and dog training and handling ability that both of them are showcasing here in Steamboat this weekend.
We can see by the demeanor of the cattle that Sam's kind of an all-business kind of a dog, and these cattle have picked up a little clip already in their movements.
Yeah, you can tell that Sam isn't afraid to push a little. You know, in a commercial cattle situation with a lot of cattle, that's a pretty good thing to have. He's going to have to be able to tone it down a little bit here to keep the cattle quiet through this course. And there, Sam comes around and the calf's tail kind of whips up. Might have been a little more push than he needed there.
You know, we saw a run a while ago where there was a cow hanging back quite a bit, and it affected the run later on as far as loading one of the obstacles. I wonder if this cow wanting to take off and leave the group is going to come back to haunt Campbell later in his run.
It may, and it all depends on how quietly Sam is able to continually kind of put her back in the group.
Still got that one wanting to take off a little bit.
And Sam would like to get after her a little bit. He's a little tight when he comes around behind her. And that definitely doesn't contribute to her slowing down any.
You know, that fetch that we just watched was not exactly straight at Campbell. It was a little bit of what we call a dogleg fetch. I think most ranchers would agree there's been times when they've had to move the cattle across in front of them or at some angle because of a waterway or a gate in order to eventually bring the cattle to their feed or to their desired destination. Would you agree?
Absolutely. You know, whether it's a bridge or a gate in the fence and you're taking them from field to field, the dog isn't always just bringing cattle to you in a straight line. So you have to have the ability for that dog to flank out and tip the direction of the cattle in one way or the other while still bringing them towards you.
We would call that off balance, kind of.
That's right. That's right. That off balance work and that dog willing to come off what he reads as that balance point of bringing the cattle straight to you.
Which is a testament, in my opinion, to the dogs, because, you know, they were bred for many, many years and still are for their natural instincts to bring stock directly to you. So to not only do what's natural, but to accept and do well what's not natural, I think is a testament to the ability of these dogs.
That's right, and a testament to their intelligence and obedience and being willing to understand that, you know, when we train these dogs, initially straight to us is always the balance point. But for their willingness to listen to us, and when we flank those dogs around and get them on a point that isn't straight to us, you know, Sam understands that straight to Campbell is no longer the balance point, that Campbell has told him through his whistles and commands that the balance point is across the field here. And so Sam's willing to work off balance, as you said, on that, and keep pushing these cattle across the hill, even though it isn't what he would necessarily feel most comfortable doing.
Yeah, I would say at this point in the run, he's probably through that cross drive is faster than anybody we've seen so far.
Yeah, he's rolling right along, and Sam's still working really well. There you see out on a bunch, he's flanking out and respecting that flight zone, and here they come, really rolling off that hill. You know, you're going to have your cattle a little more slowed down than that to make this tee, and Sam's still way up on the hill. Campbell held him back. He's coming around to help him, but they're going to let the fence stop things, and then Campbell will bring Sam in and let the cattle settle for a moment and get those cattle pushed back up to make an attempt at that tee. Now they're sitting in good shape because they've been full points through every obstacle so far. And
wow, look at this.
yeah, here we go. When they want to go, they really want to go. He shot him right into that tee, and Sam's going to come up into position, and I'm sure he's got plenty of dog to push the rest of them through there.
These cattle have seen enough panels this week that they're not afraid of those panels, and so once you get them in there, then they're pretty easy to handle, which is a good thing.
That's right, but there we saw again a little bit, maybe a little more push. Certainly nice to see in a dog, but maybe not exactly what he needed on the course. Came up and took a heel on that fence, and you see that back heifer, her tail's up a little bit. Not quite as, the cattle aren't quite as relaxed as maybe some of the groups we've seen, and some of that probably has to do with Sam's demeanor, and his approach to the cattle is a little pushier.
Now's a critical time because we only want 3 in the pen. And being out in the open without a lot of wings and stuff to help you sort those off, he's going to need to get these cattle settled just a little bit.
He is. They're going to have to be thinking about where they're going and be up in the mouth of that pen and somewhat settled and not just running around in order for Campbell to make a good cut and get 3 in and leave 3 out to make that sorting box. So it looks like he's getting things lined out here.
Yep.
And Sam's listening well. He ought to be getting a little bit of the edge off the way he's been running around here.
I believe he is. I believe he is. But Campbell's a good handler. He's a good stockman. He ranches for a living, and he knows his way around cattle and dogs. So you know he's going to get it done.
Yep.
There we go.
He gets these 3 head in, and Sam comes in for him and helps him make that cut. Now he's just got to collect these other 3 head and head up to the alleyway entrance to that sort pen.
I tell you, Jeff, I'm really impressed so far, as I have been all week, and seeing the quality of the dogs and the stock handling has been just fantastic for this national finals. Hopefully people who aren't actively involved in stock and stock dogs will see what an advantage it is to have the stock dogs, and maybe it will get them interested in doing something like this.
I agree. Whether it's somebody who would want a trial or a rancher or cattleman out there who would see the value and see how little Campbell's out here running around, chasing things, and the dog's doing the work and saving him a lot of steps. And the dogs love it, and it's really a rewarding work when you're working and have that partnership with the animals you're working with, and it's all positive, and you're getting things done. Here Campbell's got these cattle around that alleyway. Here he's got 1 head with a little bit of tension yet. You see her tail in the air. She's going to come around and not go in that alleyway, so he's going to have to take another shot at this.
And like Dorrance a while ago, now he's going to have to reload these cattle.
He is. He's got 2 out that 1 exit, and he's got 1 left in the pen. And so he's going to have to daylight everything out of there and restart that entrance. And here's where the cattle aren't really wanting to settle for him, and that's a little bit of the price, I think, of Sam not really settling them and being a little pushier. And you'll find that we've all had, those of us who've done this for a while, those pushier dogs, they can be really nice if the cattle are heavy, but if they just want to float around like this and don't take much pressure, it can be a little bit of a challenge to hold those dogs off in order to do this little more complicated finesse work that Campbell and Sam have in front of them right now.
And I think you used a key word there, finesse. It's as one fella told me, a lot of people associate working cattle with biting, but he He said biting's only 5% of working cattle. Unless you don't have any bite, then it's 95%.
That's right.
But if the cattle know that the dog is willing to make a statement and force the point, then the cattle typically want to flow off of the dog, and then finesse becomes a part of it, big part of it.
That's right. And these cattle are willing to move. Sam's a little bit willing to remind them why they need to move, but they really want to go back to that other bunch or to the exhaust gate. And so Campbell's having a little bit of a hard time getting them all three into that alleyway and that sort completed.
Cattle are just a little uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, and you know, the clock is ticking on Campbell, although he's been pretty fast all the way around the course.
There we go.
There he's got all three into the alleyway, and he should have that sort set up. He's kind of hustling around on that side of the pen. That's where that draw is. Those cattle want to come back to the other group and also towards the exhaust gate. So there's one head out of that hole. He's got one sneaking out. So we got one head out a hole, and Sam gave a valiant effort in trying to stop it. Got rolled a little bit there, but is back up on his feet.
Now he'll get credit for 2 cows here, right?
He'll get credit for 10 head out for the 10 points for the one head out the single hole, and he'll get credit for 10 points on the one head out the hole where you would want 2 head. He will have dropped 10 points there if he doesn't want to retry it, and it looks like he's not going to. He said Campbell's deciding that, you know what, we had a hard enough time getting him into that sort pen to begin with. That's not something we're going to redo.
Right.
We're going to go ahead and take our score of 20 points out of 30 possible on that sort obstacle and regroup and go to the exhaust. I think that Sam is getting a little bit warm now at this point too. You see him going down towards the water. He knows there's water down there in that ditch below. He's kind of getting hot and saying, you know, boss, I think we're just about done with this. Can I go get a drink? And Campbell is telling Sam, you know, Sam, we'll get a drink here in just a second. You just help me get these cattle out this gate, and you can go down there and get a drink. So Campbell's headed to the gate, and Sam says, okay, I can wait a little bit. And there they go through the gate, Sam and Campbell with a total score of 275.
Campbell Forsyth and Sam.
Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to give everybody the same environmental conditions, whether it be cloudy or sunny, and unfortunately he was in a little hotter time of the day here.
Yep, it's just luck of the draw in regards to the weather.
We're visiting with Campbell Forsyth from Ericsdale, Manitoba, Canada. And Campbell, you just got through running Sam, got a really good score of 275 out of 285. What really good for you on that run?
Well, it all went good, Jim. The lift, everything went nice. We had a little trouble driving up. We lost some time on the drive, and then on the cross drive a little bit. We had to retry it, but it went good. And back to that to the octagon box there, the sorting box, we lost one there, and that was pretty well it. I probably could have tried again. I had enough time, but my dog it's hot out here, and he'd pretty well given up, or not, you know, he'd run out of dogs. So
sure.
So we just figured we'd take a few less points and carry on.
Sure. Yep. Well, the 275 did put you in a tie for the lead for the national championship, so that's got to make you feel good.
Well, of course it makes you feel great. Yeah, but it won't last. There's some really good handlers coming up here.
Well, there's a lot of good ones, and that's why it's a national championship.
Yes, exactly.
Now, we talked to you all ago a little bit about your run with Meg. Explain, if you would, the differences between the two dogs, the strengths of each, the weaknesses maybe of each, and how you might handle them differently.
Well, the female dog is more precise. I can put her wherever I want, and she'll stand there. The older dog here, he's a little tougher dog, a little more push in him, and you know, he tends to make a couple more steps before he'll stop, or you know, so you have to kind of compensate for all that. But I mean, this old dog, he's got lots. There's lots of cow in him. You know, that's about the only difference in them. You know. Yep.
You're still going the same places with the cattle, so it's just a...
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, he just brings them a little bit harder, and that's so you got to try and back them off, and it doesn't always.
Sure. Now most people are making the first gather off the top of this hill. Do you not having been to Manitoba? Do you have some country like that?
Not a chance. No, she's flat down there. It's pretty low actually. So this is kind of new to our dogs. So yeah. But they see stock at home. At home we'll gather pairs. Half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. So it's not. It's just. He knows they're out there. If I'm sending them out there, he knows that there's something there. He trusts me, and so does the female dog. So that's they'll go. It doesn't matter if it's uphill or where, as long as they can maybe see it after a bit, then they'll do it.
You mentioned the key word there, trust. Is how big a role does that play in a successful dog handler team?
100%. Yeah, 100% it does. Yeah.
Campbell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope it comes out the way you want it to.
Thank you, sir.
We have something very special going on at the National Cattledog Finals. We have a father-daughter team, or father and daughter, competing against each other in the open finals for the national championship. Now this is Kayleen and Campbell Forsyth from Ericsdale, Manitoba, Canada. And welcome again, and because I've already talked to both of you, thanks for being here. And what's it like pulling for each other and competing against each other? Kayleen, I'll ask you first.
Well, of course, you want to root for your dad or, your kin. Yeah, you want to do good, but, you want to do good too yourself. So.
Are you pulling for him more than yourself?
Yeah, definitely.
Then how come you beat him today?
I don't know.
What's going on here?
It seems like your dad had two great scores, 265, 275, but you had to have a 285.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything flowed good, and yeah, it worked in my favor, I guess.
Sure. No, we all understand. Now, let me ask you: do y'all train together at home, Campbell?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
How do you help one another?
Well, she's usually got a stick and telling me what I'm doing wrong, and yeah, she's a better trainer than I am. But we pick off each other and pick up little things and kind of work them out. So
it helps to bounce ideas off of one another.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's just you can't work your dog by yourself all the time. How would you know any different?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Well, Kayleen, I'm sure he got you started obviously and taught you some things, but you've probably developed some of your own ideas and training methods as a result of that.
Oh yeah. We we kind of, like you said, we bounce ideas off each other. Hey, let's try this. This dog might be a little timid. Let's try something like this. And most of our ideas kind of work.
Yeah.
But it's trial and error, I guess.
You go to quite a few trials in Canada.
Yes, we do. Yes.
And some in the States.
Yeah, some in the States. Not enough in the States. We don't have enough time, but we'd sure like to come to more.
Well, I think it's really special that we've got a father-daughter combination here competing together and pulling for each other at the finals, and it kind of makes it special for everybody else to see that. We appreciate you being here from Canada and hope we'll see you next year.
Thank you very much, and
yes.
and it's a real honor to be here competing against her.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you guys put a lot of work into this, and we appreciate what you guys are doing for the cattle dog industry and the breed. Definitely appreciate it.
And you are doing it's the smash up job that you're doing. This trial is, I don't know where you'd go to find a trial like this. So if anybody, any cow dog guys do see this, work to come to this, because this is it. This is the best dogs in the country are here. The best
in North America.
In North America, you dang right, yes sir. Yeah, and it's it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you, and hopefully the only place they'll see one like this is in Steamboat Springs 2014.
Correct.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. We
Thank
look
you very
forward to
much.
it.
You bet. And happy Father's Day to you.
Well,
Yes.
same to you. Thank
Yes.
you.